Radio, Sultan of Oman 90.4 FM is all set to bring you specially produced cultural, religious, and interesting shows during the holy month of Ramadan. Let's Connect, a soul-searching program with Islamic scholar and public speaker Sh.Khalfan Al Esry, which is about a journey of self-discovery, hosted by Rym 11:30 a.m. and repeated at 9 o'clock in the evening. Knowing Your Religion with scholar and Assistant Grand Mufti Sh.Khalfan Al Esry, who will answer all your religious questions every Fridays at 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Hosted by Hatim Al-Salam. Learn the right path of family relationships on Modern Family with Wael Al-Harasi, Thursdays till Saturdays at 1 p.m. Then know what's cooking in the kitchen with award-winning Omani chef Isa Al-Lamki on Ramadan Delicacies at 5 p.m. Enjoy family entertainment nightly with lots and lots of prices and surprises. Radio shows like Treasure Chest with June Lewis at 8 p.m. In the Box with Hafid Al-Harthi. An exciting mind twister, The Lucky Number Game Show with Faisal at 10 p.m. till midnight. Make it a different way to spend your Ramadan every week here on the Nation Station, Radio Sultan of Oman, 90.4 FM. Live with Sh.Khalfan Al Esry on Let's Connect.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Let's Connect, your Ramadan radio program. We'll be with you on a beautiful journey through the month of Ramadan. This is your host, Rym Aoudia, with the Honorable Sh.Khalfan Al Esry taking us through this journey. With us also is the sound engineer, Safiya Al-Habsi. We also welcome you to call us in at 24602058. Also, 24694315. Welcome to Let's Connect. Sh.Khalfan, welcome.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. So Sh.Khalfan, yesterday we started by talking about the month of Ramadan. And you've mentioned its importance, it's a gift from Allah, and it's also an opportunity to reorient ourselves and uplift ourselves.
Yeah.
You also mentioned the way to approach it is by asking ourselves, where am I now and where should I be by the end of Ramadan as a destination,
Indeed.
Starting step by step. You also mentioned connecting with Allah, the importance of disconnecting from distractions, going to a quiet place, meditating, and no matter what level we are in our journey, we can achieve that connection once we are ready. And towards the end of the show, Sh.Khalfan, I asked you the question of, if we imagine it's the last day of Ramadan, how can we know it has been successful?
Yeah.
And you said simply, we ask ourselves, how have I become a better person?
Indeed.
And that brings us to our topic today,
Yeah.
to look into this more deeper. So first of all, Sh.Khalfan, what do you mean by the word better? Is it our character, acts of worship, performance? What is meant by better?
Now, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa-salamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. We are taught by the Prophet of Islam a supplication, which is a dua, to recite and to pray, to say, Allahumma ja'al yawmi khayran min amsi, wa ghadan khayran min yawmi, wa ma ba'dahu khayran min. O our Lord, make my day better than yesterday, and my tomorrow better than today, and thereafter even better. It means that as human beings, we go on a journey, and the journey is the journey of growth. And that is what we have to pursue. There are people who reach a particular time in life and they realize they have it all, or because of being battered with life, with bad experience, they give in and they give up, and they say, you know what, it's not worth pursuing the journey further. And nevertheless, successful people always try to grow. And what we mean by becoming a better person is to grow as a person in all aspects of life. Spiritually is to grow. to get closer and closer to Allah, to elevate oneself in that righteousness and piety. All the time to get to seek that closeness with Allah, so that one can be a better person through connection through our soul. Mentally, we have to be better by learning, by reading, and reading is not only reading books, but it's also reading nature, reading the reality, deducing from what we see and coming to conclusions of what we see, acquiring that wisdom. So mentally, it's also good to grow, to become a better person. Emotionally, to become a better person, to overcome our negative emotions that always pull us down and make us feel unworthy, to activating the positive emotions that can make us better people. If we come to values, although we have values, but practicing those values, sometimes there is a gap between the values we subscribe to and the behavior and the action and the manners that we portray in our outer world dealing with people. And usually values get tested at difficult moments. So we ought to observe ourselves at difficult moments. How are we behaving relative to our values? For example, a person says that I subscribe to respect. One of my values is respect. Then if that is your value, at a time of difficulties, when someone is unpleasant to you, someone is arrogant to you, someone is disrespectful to you, how do you react to that? That is the moment of testing to see. Some people may say that my value is integrity. When integrity is a value, then at moments of temptation, how do people react to that integrity? Do they fall to temptations, or do they stick hard and dig their heels deeper to say, no, I will not get dragged into those temptations, whether it is temptations of corruption, temptations of bribery, temptations of stealing, temptations of lying, temptations of cheating, many temptations are there. Integrity gets tested at those moments. So becoming a better person is all about checking. And then we go one step further, it's about our relationship. In my relationship with my parents, with my spouse, with my children, with my family, with my relatives, with the community, am I becoming a better person in the month of Ramadan? Have I squared things? Have I overlooked our differences and put them aside, and so that I can be a better person? And that is again becoming a better person. At work, there's always room for improvement. And what we say that, how do I know whether there is room for improvement in all of what we have said here, is to check between what am I capable of doing and what am I doing. Yeah? So it is checking between capacity and performance. My capacity is that I'm able to do so much, physically, mentally, emotionally, with knowledge. Am I doing that or not?
Now, how can we be sure about what our capacity is?
It's just to ask a simple question. Can I do this? And most of the time people say, yes, I can. Yeah. And we have enough knowledge and skills, but the only problem with I wouldn't say a lot of people, with most people, is they accept to become an average. As an example, writing. Almost everybody who studied and graduated from secondary, they can write. So writing is not an issue. The only problem, do they write? Do they take time out to practice the act on the skill of writing, to improve upon their writing, so that they can have better vocabulary as they write, and they can begin to write a story, they begin to write an idea, and share that idea on paper. But with the ability of writing, almost 90% of people can write. Reading, again, most people can read. And the question is, do people read or not? When they read, do they comprehend? Can they focus in what they read? And do they find joy in reading? And that is where we say about what can people do and the performance. What are they performing? Prayers. All Muslims can pray. They know how to pray. They were taught that from the early age. And the question is that, are they praying in the month of Ramadan? Do they offer the extra prayers or not? Are they reading the Holy Quran? So this is, how do we know? It's a very simple answer. People are at the average, And what we say most of the time, we have enough average people in the world. What we're looking for are a little bit above average. We don't want ordinary people. What we are searching for are the extraordinary people. Even at work, 80% of people who go to work are the average people. They're ordinary people. They come in the morning, they just do their job, and the job is over, they go home. Such people are, we call them ordinary. They fulfill the contract, they fulfill the duty, and then they go. But we say we don't just want people who are ordinary, the extraordinary. And this is a wonderful question to ask about whether am I fulfilling my duty or not, am I growing or not. It is 3 words. It is can, should, and the last word is not, N-O-T. I'm going to put a statement now. And the question to ask myself, what can I do that I should be doing that I am not doing? Yeah?
Okay.
What can I do? Because I have the capacity, I have the ability, I have the skills, I have the know-how. That I should be doing because it is good for me, for my growth. It is good for me because it is my duty. It is good for me because it is my obligation. I should be doing. Yeah? That I am not doing.
So what can I do that I should be doing that I'm not doing?
That I'm not doing. Okay. As an example, a lot of people have, or most people have in the month of Ramadan, one of their target is to lose weight. And then we say, to lose weight, 2 things you have to do. Number 1, you have to eat properly. Number 2, you have to exercise. So we ask them, can you eat healthy? And they say yes. Should you be eating healthy? They say yes. And then we say, when the time of iftar comes, are you eating healthy? And they say, oh, well, sometimes yes, sometimes no. I say, okay, then you know the problem. Can you exercise? Can you walk for 20 minutes? They say yes. Should you be exercising for 20 minutes? Yes. Are you exercising for 20 minutes every day? Well, sometimes I have to watch football, sometimes I'm tired, sometimes it is humid. Well, those are excuses. Yeah? There you are. So by asking you this simple question, then you can begin to see where you are lagging behind, where you are falling behind. What can I do that I should be doing that I'm not doing?
Excellent. And so it becomes a blueprint. We look at their spirituality, mental relations, work, and we see if we're putting our capacity in action.
Yeah.
So can do, should do, but not doing.
But not doing, yes.
So if we bring this to now in Ramadan, where you also mentioned pick a quality and work on it. So from these elements, what should we focus on in Ramadan?
People are different. For example, we talked yesterday about the 8 areas of life.
Yes.
We can pose a question on each area of life. Spiritually, what can I do that I should be doing that I'm not doing that I would like to start in the month of Ramadan? With regard to my health and energy, excuse me, what can I do that I should be doing that I'm not doing in the month of Ramadan with regard to my health? Relationship, what can I do to improve my relationship with my loved ones that I should be doing that I'm not doing? With knowledge, what can I do that I should be doing because it is good for me to acquire that extra knowledge that I'm not doing? Yeah, and then you can go on to my talent and skills. What skills that can I do that I should be doing in terms of improving them that I'm not doing? Yeah, and then you go into the financial independence. What can I do to begin to move towards financial independence in the form of, for example, savings, in the form of spending wisely, in the form of investing that I should be doing because now is the time, so that when in future I have some backup, I have some security that I'm not doing now because I'm too indulged. I'm too indulged in expenditure and extravagance and enjoying life and in leisure and pleasure. Yeah. So it's all about, again, we come back to the word discipline. Yeah. And then you go into the social contribution. What can I do to the community that I should be doing because it's part of my duty that I'm not doing? It's now the opportunity to start. With leisure and pleasure, in terms of taking time out to relax, to meditate, to truly chill out, that I should be doing because it's good for me, to relieve stress, as an example, that I'm not doing. There are people who are workaholic, and they abuse their body, they abuse their mind, they abuse their emotions, and when the time is over, when it is too late, they wake up, and then they've already made plenty of damage.
Yeah? Might break down.
Indeed.
Yes.
So we need to balance in all these areas. So by merely asking this question in all faculties of life, one can identify areas of improvement. And those are the area, if improved, then would lead individually to become successful, to become a better person by the end of Ramadan.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
And reminder, listeners, the number to call in is 24602058. Another number is 24694315. So Sheikh Khalfan, you've encouraged us to look into these 8 areas and identify what we can work on. When we come on the break, I'd like to bring up the challenge of doing so and what you recommend. So we'll have a quick break and we'll be back.
Live with Sh.Khalfan Al Esry on Let's Connect.
Welcome back to Let's Connect. So Sheikh Khalfan, you've mentioned how we can identify the areas that we can work on and prioritize.
Indeed.
Now, naturally we would face a challenge of, first of all, becoming aware of this. It's natural for us to have blind spots where we might not be aware of what we need to work on. So how can we overcome that and know what to identify?
Yeah. The biggest challenge to human beings is the comfort zone. The comfort zone. And again, we talked earlier about the average people. The reason average people enjoy doing average work and being average is because it is a comfort zone. They've identified the comfort zone. And human beings, funny enough, we are driven by 2 things. We're either driven by pleasure or we're driven by pain. Mm-hmm. And when the pleasure is big, is exciting, it pushes us out of our comfort zone to go and seek that pleasure. Or when the pain is big enough, it forces us to move out of our comfort zone to avoid pain. So there are people who seek pleasure and there are people who avoid pain. And both of them, those are the drivers out of a comfort zone. Let me give you an example. Imagine if it was to be announced. If people were to wake up all night for 10 days, they ought not to sleep at night. They can do whatever they want during the day, but at night they have to be awake for 10 days because they're going to be security guards guarding something that is very precious. Mm-hmm. At the end of those 10 days, when the mission is over and they did their job, each person who does that will be rewarded 1 million riyals. Now the pleasure is big enough to push people out of the comfort zone, to give up their sleep and to make sure that they are up all night.
Yes, it will attract them.
It will attract them.
Yes.
Because the carrot is quite big. Mm-hmm. It's very attractive and it's worth pursuing. And this is what successful people do. They give themselves a very ambitious target and they believe that it is achievable and they go after it. It's not 1 million, it could be 10 million. If it's not 10 million, it's 100 million. Some people, 1,000 would excite them. Other people, 10,000 would excite them. Some people, 100,000 excite them. So you need to find what excites individual to push them out of the comfort zone. Here, just give an example of financial, but I can give example of other factors. Let's assume that if you were to stand out today for 4 hours, His Majesty will pass by, and if he sees you there, he will stop by, and he's going to give you a lift, and with that lift, there will be also a gift from His Majesty. Standing outside in this heat, fasting, one can say, you know what, I can't bear it. It's a comfort zone. But if that is going to be the reward, and when His Majesty gives, and you know that gives generously, then one will say, you know what, I'm going to sacrifice my comfort zone, being out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to be out, wait for 4 hours, because I know he's going to pass there, and if he sees me, he's going to stop. That explains what is the pleasure. When the pleasure is big enough, it pushes people out of the comfort zone. The contrary, also the pain. People, for example, there are a lot of people who are driven by pain. It is the pain that keeps them moving. In other words, the weight. If there is no pain, they don't move. If there is pain, consequences of pain, they would move just enough to alleviate pain and to avoid pain. As an example, people delay paying their bills. They get the first warning, they delay. Either because they're lazy, or they don't have the time, or they procrastinate, or they don't have money, whatever. But when the final warning comes, and they still don't pay, then they begin to get agitated. You know what? I have to do something. I have to do something. If they don't react to that, suddenly electricity is cut off. Now it is hot, it is summer, then immediately they'll go and pay the bills. The pain now is unbearable, they'll go and pay it. Similar thing with people who have to do, who are going to set exams. For example, students. They will wait and wait and wait. Exam's going to be tomorrow. If I don't study today, I may fail. Then they spend all night studying, because now that is their last chance. If they don't, then they're guaranteed failure. And so you see such people, then they are pushed by pain. So the challenges that we have is to realize our comfort zone is our biggest enemy. And the reason it is a biggest enemy is because probably we don't have ambitious targets. We do not aspire to higher purposes, either because we lack confidence, or we don't believe that we can do it, or maybe we think it's impossible, or maybe the community has told us, you've been conditioned to say, no, this is who you are, accept it as a reality. So we need to go and identify what is holding us back in our comfort zone. And there's a beautiful statement that says, when the why is big enough, the how will take care of itself. So we just need to work on the why. Why do I need to grow? Why should I become a better person? Why should I earn more money? Why should I get closer to Allah? Why should I have a better relationship with my family? Why should my health improve? If the why is big enough and is exciting enough, then I'll find the means and ways to go and do it. So the end justifies the means.
Okay, so why are some people afraid of going outside their comfort zone?
Yeah.
They know they should, but they're still afraid.
Indeed. And then we come to the element of fear. The element of fear is what keep a lot of people in their comfort zone. And fear, usually, people fear mainly three major fears that people have. And these three fears, if not addressed, they can actually become a prison for the person. Fear number one is fear of failure. Some people may have tried in the past and failed, and then they said, you know what, because I've tried and I have failed, therefore I know it ain't going to work. To such people we say, look, whoever discovered the bulbs and the light, he tried 10,000 times before he was successful. The way you began to walk, from crawling to walking, you fell many times before you could master the skill of walking. Yeah. It also goes to everything in life. An ant would pick something 10 times its weight and climb a vertical wall. It would fall 1,000 times, but 1,001 time it will succeed. So realizing that it does not mean that you have failed in the past, that you will fail in future. Yeah. So fear of failure is the biggest enemy to growth. Second fear is a fear of ridicule. People may ridicule me if I have an ambitious target, because people know me as an average person. I come from an average family, and if I try to give myself ambitious targets, they'll tell me, you don't belong to that category. That is not you. And because of these negative messages we receive from the community, from the family, from the loved ones, and from associates, we accept and we become the average. And there is a funny story that was made as an experiment to show how people accept becoming an average without even knowing why, simply because of being ridiculed. This is an experiment that was made. They took 5 monkeys and put them in a cage. And then, monkeys love bananas.
For sure.
And so every time a monkey wanted to go for a banana, any monkey, they would spray the whole cage with very cold water. And all the monkeys would suffer based on an individual act. Every time any monkey wanted to go there, they would spray them with very cold water. So they realized by going for those bananas, there is a consequence of pain, and that is very cold water, which is uncomfortable. So after a while, all the monkeys stopped attempting to go for the bananas. No matter how hungry they were, they would never go for that, because they know, we go for that, there is trouble. And then they took one monkey out, and they brought a fresh monkey who never experienced the cold water. Now when that new monkey went in, saw the bananas, wanted to go for it. The other 4 monkeys all jumped to stop that monkey from doing it. The new monkey didn't know why you guys stopping me. They didn't know. It didn't know why. But nevertheless, told, don't go for that. Don't go for that. And then with a lot of noise, that monkey eventually gave in to the group. And then they took a second monkey out. They brought another fresh monkey. And the same experience was repeated. The 4 monkeys told the new monkey, don't go for that. Why? We don't know. Eventually, all the 5 monkeys who experienced the cold water were taken out, and 5 new monkeys were in who never experienced the cold water, and still they didn't go for the bananas without knowing why. They all said, you know what, don't go for it. If you go for it, there is trouble. But they didn't know what is the trouble. And this is what happens to the community. We hear stories that one person has been hurt in business, in relationship, in health, and whatever, and suddenly we generalize. We assume that it applies to everybody. And the reality is not. So ridiculing is part and parcel of life. People are going to ridicule if you have an ambitious target, an ambitious goal. The third fear that people have is the fear of rejection. If I try to go with this idea, maybe it will be rejected. Maybe nobody will accept it. So I have a brilliant idea. I want to bring it forth. I say, you know what? People may not like it. Fear of rejection, excuse me, is also a parcel of life. Simply because people don't like change. But change is constant. And again, why don't people like change? Because change pushes people out of the comfort zone. So we see all the time people avoid change and they resist change. And it's natural in societies, in organizations, in families, even in oneself to change, because change is sometimes painful. So when I come with a new idea, in trying to direct the community in a new direction, or the organization in a new direction, or trying to bring an idea, to propose an idea for improvement, there will be people who will resist those ideas. In other words, they will reject the idea. So a lot of people have that fear. They may reject my idea. Why should I care? Why should I bother? And here is the interesting part. All the fear we've talked about, fear of failure, fear of ridicule, fear of rejection, 80% to 90% of the time, it is an illusion. It's not the reality. It is the makings of the mind. Why? Because the mind also wants to be in the comfort zone. It doesn't want to think. So the easiest thing the mind does, it brings fear in front of us, it magnifies it 1,000 times and says, hey, do you really want to get into this? Are you ready for this trouble? Should you bother yourself? Why asking for trouble when everything is there for you? And then people respond to that voice, and then you know what? They say, I better avoid it. I'm already happy. I have whatever I need. Why should I bother?
It's interesting, Sh.Khalfan, when you explain failure, mostly it's externally driven. I mean, maybe that's why it's an illusion, because we're afraid of, ridicule or rejection, and it hasn't happened yet.
Yes.
But we're just afraid to take that step.
Yeah.
So just to recap, you've mentioned one way of identifying is being willing to push ourselves outside the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And to have a goal that pushes our limits. So not an average goal, but something that pushes our capacity, that excites us to put the effort into it. And it actually reminds me of a quote where it says, the pain of pursuing my dreams is much better than the pain of regret that I didn't pursue it.
Absolutely.
So, Sh.Khalfan, once we identify the areas that we need to work on, is there an approach that you recommend where we can set goals and practically apply it?
Indeed. And the best thing to do is to go and give it a try. Start small. Don't start big. Start small. And by starting small, the idea behind it is to gain confidence. So that is one way. You start small and you begin to grow. The other approach is to find people who believe in your message, who believe in your dream, who believe in yourself, and let them be your supporters. Don't do it alone. Find people who can support you. Yeah, and so that can be another idea that you can get people to be excited and to try and participate in supporting you. A third way maybe is also possible is to go and ask, what would be the worst thing that would happen if I was not to become successful? So it's to look at the worst scenario and be ready for the worst scenario. So in other words, prepare for the best, expect the best, and be prepared for the worst. And if it fails, well and good, it was a trial.
Excellent. And we'll remind our dear listeners, the number to call in is 24602058. Also 24694315. That's 24602058 and 24694315. If you have any questions, Sh.Khalfan will be more than happy to answer it. So Sh.Khalfan, we start small, we give it a try, we take action, and it's also, as you mentioned, surrounding ourselves with people who are willing to support us and believe in ourselves. Now, if we take it in terms of the Ramadan spirituality and practices, are there practices in Ramadan that can help accelerate our growth?
Absolutely. Everything that we do in Ramadan in terms of the spiritual act, all of them are meant to make a person a better person, to believe in self, and to realize there is more to it than merely just being an average. Let's take, for example, the Holy Quran, the messages that come in the Holy Quran. And let us only confine to the opening chapter.
Mm-hmm.
The opening chapter, as Muslims, we recite that opening chapter every day at least 17 times in our prayers. Al-Fatiha. In that Al-Fatiha, there is one request that we are all making every day, at least 17 times a day. Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. Guide us to the straight path. Al-Fatiha is a contract between self and Allah. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most compassionate, praise be to the Lord, praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the most gracious, the most compassionate, the master of the day of judgment. You alone we worship, and from you we seek help. Guide us to the straight path. So we are always asking Allah to guide us to the straight path.
Sheikh Khalfan, we have a call.
Okay.
We can take in. Yes. Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Sh.Khalfan and Sister Rym, how are you?
We're fine, alhamdulillah. What's your good name?
My name is Hatem Al Salam.
Hatem. Ahlan bik Hatem. Go ahead.
How are you?
We're fine, thank you.
Thank you for this wonderful program.
Shukran. Jazakallah khair, Al-Hatim.
Allah yahfazik. I just have a question about getting results. When people are seeking success in life, they are always in a hurry and rush to get results. And when they don't get the results immediately, they get disappointed. Why is that? This is my first question.
Inshallah.
And the second question is about environment. The environment around you is very, very important for you to succeed. And we find many great leaders around the world. They went through a very difficult time, and they didn't have that environment that helped them to succeed. And although they didn't have this environment, the good environment, they also succeeded. So what made them, what motivated them to succeed and to move forward despite the challenges they had? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hatem.
Shukran.
Wonderful question. Thank you.
Two wonderful questions.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I think they fall in what we were just discussing there about the Quran, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, guide us to the straight path.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. A lot of people want quick results. But life doesn't happen like that. Almighty Allah, with His infinite wisdom and capability, He created this universe and what's in it, in the heavens and earth, in 7 days. He could have done it in a flash. Be and it is. But He wanted to teach us that this is a reality of life. Things happen in sequence and they take time. The Prophet of Islam received the message of Islam in 23 years. He could have received it all as one book. And then he could have been commanded that the next day Muslims should comply to the book 100%. But the way it happened, it took 23 years for the Holy Quran to be sent down and for it to be embedded and implemented in the lives of society and in the life of the community. And the same thing as we as individuals, the way we grow, it takes time. And first of all, we are in the wombs of our mothers for 9 months. And then it takes so many years before we can mature. In actual fact, human beings are the slowest creatures to mature. We're the slowest. We need more attention. We are dependent for a long time before we become independent. Yeah. Why? Again, to indicate that it takes time for results to mature. When we plant trees, we don't bear fruits of the trees from day one. From the time we sow the seed to the time we reap the reward of that, the harvest, It takes time. Same thing with any idea we may have. Anything that happens fast disappears fast. Let's take, for example, again from the plantation. When we have seasonal, fruits and veg. Let's take, for example, tomatoes and cucumber. From the time you plant to the time you get the fruit is about 2 to 3, maybe 4 months. But immediately after that, the whole plant withers and it disappears. Let's go for mangoes and palm trees. When you plant them, minimum it takes 4 years before you can have a fruit from that tree. But that tree then remains. Every year you get something out of it. It stays. Yeah? And that is how life is all about. Those who want quick results, usually they are not sustainable. So one has to be patient. And with that patience, they have to have trust in Allah that things are going to work. As long as they do what is right, they're going to have. Yes, we need short-term goals, but we also need long-term goals. For the long-term goals, it's going to take longer for them to materialize. For the short-term, they may get materialized very quickly because they're so small.
And so that awareness that results take time will help us become patient.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
And then with regard to supporting environment, there are people who, yes, have been able to make it without the supporting environment. They came from poor families. They came from the rags and made it to the riches in a very short time. They didn't have education, they didn't have the facilities, they didn't have a good shelter, they didn't have good home, they didn't have proper meals, they didn't have... everything was against them in reality. But the only thing that they had with them was a belief within them that I can make it big. They had an ambition. They had a passion for something to happen. And they believed, they held tight to whatever they believed. And that is what made them successful. Such people are what we're looking for today. You need to believe in something. Believe in yourself. Believe in the goal that you want to achieve. As long as it is a noble goal, go for it. And don't listen to all the noise and the distractions and the self-limiting voices that come all the way around you. If someone has done it, you can do it in whatever aspect of life. So as long as it's not a miracle, it can be done. And indeed, a lot of things that successful people achieve, to the average, they appear to be miracles. They appear to be luck. They appear to be, you know what, he was just lucky or she was just lucky. There is no luck in life. Luck is all about labor and a consistent performance. Yeah.
Okay, so it stems from that inner belief.
Inner belief, yes.
In ourselves. Excellent. Well, thank you, Hatem, for those questions. Building on that then, Sh.Khalfan, how can we ensure we sustain to what we are committing to?
The best way to do that is by keeping a record. Keep a record of what you do. All achievements that you make, small as they are, celebrate those small achievements. When you celebrate small achievements, they give you energy, they give you enthusiasm, you feel moments of ecstasy, your confidence level goes up, and as a result, you want to repeat the experience. And that is how best to go forward.
Excellent. So keep a record and celebrate.
Absolutely.
We have another call online.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Yes, my name is Muhammad, and I would like to talk to Sh.Khalfan, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead, Muhammad.
Yes, assalamu alaikum, sir. How are you?
Well, alhamdulillah, alaikum assalam.
Sir, I just one thing about success, because that was the topic of discussion today, that I've realized I'm in my mid-20s, and I realized, like, right now, 90% of people of my age, their goal for benchmark for success is being a consumer at a better shop. Today, they buy indirectly saying that they want to earn money only to spend at a better shop.
Okay.
And I find it very disturbing, to be honest.
Yeah.
That right now, the only benchmark for success is that in terms of a marketing manager, which category do we fall in? We want to fall in the highest category. It was quite disturbing for me, and through this forum, I wanted to share. So I hope people recognize this before setting their goals of success.
Yeah. No, I think the question is very clear. Thank you,
Thank you, Muhammad.
Thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people who go for the materialistic goals, the appearance, and they think that is success. Success is not how you look. Success is what you have within you. It's how much of an acre of diamonds you have discovered within you. People who spend beyond their means simply to impress other people, because they go and buy, they have to go elevate themselves to go and buy at the better shops and more expensive shops, and they go for brands. That is just the outer layer. Those things will not make you a better person. If you want from success of finance to become a better person, anything that is not an asset is a liability. And the way to differentiate between what is an asset and what is a liability is simple. An asset gives you an income. A liability takes away from you money or energy or time. So then here you're going to ask a question. When I buy an expensive shirt or an expensive watch or an expensive car, is it an asset or is it a liability? And the only way to find out is to ask a question. Does it generate income for me? If it does, it's an income. If it's an asset. If it doesn't, it's a liability. Buying a house, a big house, and I'm going to live in, is it an asset? The bankers will tell you it's an asset, but in reality it's a liability, because every month you have to go and spend on maintenance. Yeah. Let us take knowledge. Is knowledge an asset or is it a liability? If it is only a knowledge and you do nothing with it, it doesn't benefit you. If it is applied knowledge, then it becomes an asset. When you put it to good use, you educate people, or you consult people, or you do whatever to people, and then you generate income for you, then it is an asset. It could be intangible asset, income, or it could be tangible income. Yeah. So you could get reward from it by making people better, or you can get an income out of it. So youngsters need to realize at that age, your energy is limited, is finite. It's not infinite. Simply because now you're energetic and you are able to make an income, realize there's going to be a time when you have to retire. There'll be a time when you become ill and sick. So from now, begin to create a passive income by investing now into future. A lot of people spend tomorrow's money, they spend it today by getting into loans. A loan, in actual fact, is not encouraged in Islam. Islam discourages people to get into loans because it is spending future's money today. It's a burden. It is a liability. So the best thing to do, I tell my children and I tell the youngsters, from the time you are a student or from the time you graduate, have an investment or savings as part of your portfolio. Successful people have 3 ways to divide the income to become successful in future. The first one is active income, where I have to work to make an income. Active income is where I've got a job and the job is paying me a salary, or I'm providing a service and I'm getting an income. So they keep at that and be active to create an active income between the age of 20 to the age of 35. And then once you've started there, the portion of your income, put it in either portfolio, that is number 2, portfolio, and that is going to buy shares in good companies, or to go into a third category, which is passive income, that is investing, for example, in real estate. We don't have to work and the money is going to come to you. Imagine you have a building of 8 floors and you rent it out. You invest initially to do it, but eventually that money is going to come to you without you working. And that is what youngsters need to begin to think now. It's not about show off, it's not about fashion, it's not about competing for that. Yes, if you have passive income, you can afford to do that.
It's planning for their life ahead.
Yeah.
So we'll take a quick break and we'll be back.
Live with Sh.Khalfan Al Esry on Let's Connect. Radio, Sultan of Oman, 90.4 FM. live with Sh.Khalfan Al Esry on Let's Connect.
Welcome back to Let's Connect. We remind you of the numbers to call in: 24602058 and also 24694315. Sheikh Khalfan, I'd like to pick up on Muhammad's question as well, and when he mentioned about the youth. So, how can the youth be aware that being better, being successful is not confined to materialism?
Yeah. You know, when I gave the order of the 8 categories of life,
Yes.
that was a spirituality, health and energy, relationship, knowledge, talent and skills, financial independence, and then moved into the social contribution and eventually to leisure and pleasure. That is the order that one has to take. Before leisure and pleasure and before financial independence, one had to really get into developing knowledge and then transforming that knowledge, the talent they have, into skills. So it is the talent and skills that we have, if perfected, if mastered, will result in that financial independence. It's putting those talent into skills and becoming excellent in our skills that can generate a lot of income for us. And once you have enough income and you have contributed to society, you can also then go and enjoy it. Yeah, that is the order and actual fact that I subscribe to.
Excellent.
So we tell to the youth is that there is always time for leisure and pleasure. And it does not mean that if you don't wear an expensive shirt, you cannot enjoy life. If you don't wear the most expensive watch, you will not. In actual fact, one of the most richest people, Warren Buffett, who is into the shares and trades, he never in his life bought a brand new car. Because he knows the value of money, and he knows that buying a car that is 1 year old is 30% cheaper. And still, it functions the same. If you have a brand new car, or if you have a 1 year old car, after 4 years, it's going to get old. It's time to be replaced. So he never in his life bought a brand new car. Because he knows, by saving 30%, I can do a lot with 30% of a car in putting it into good use. People who have limited income usually try to impress the outer world. Not everybody, some do that, by trying to have what I call a fabricated outer person. And they try to tell the world, look, I've got it all. They go and buy an expensive car, an expensive brand of bags or watches or clothes, simply to impress people, to let them know that they're of a higher class. But everything that they have was made out of loans. We say to such people, who are you kidding? You're kidding yourself. People don't care what you wear and what you do. So don't try to impress people. And in actual fact, there was one person who said, I don't know the formula for success, but I know the formula of failure. I said the formula of failure is to try to please everybody. So trying to impress everybody is one of the formula of failure. And that is why people get into a lot of debts, and as a result, they suffer later on.
And if we take that, Sheikh Khalfan, to say those who are older in years, in age, and from the other side, they would say, it's too late now for me to make any change or improvements. How can they break out of that mindset?
It's never too late. As long as you have a mind that functions, as long as you have a soul that breathes, it's never too late. Yes, there may be a few things that you are unable to do because of physical limitation now, that your body is becoming weaker and frail, but it does not mean that you cannot become a better person. Probably people who are becoming older, the one thing they can be good at is to begin to give back their knowledge, their wisdom, their experience, their journey, to educate the young, so that the youth, so that they don't fall in the same trap that they fell in. And in so doing, they are already becoming better people because they are making other people's lives better. So it's never too late. Probably when people at that age, one of the things that they can do is to find a new hobby. A hobby of gardening, a hobby of reading, a hobby of supporting the community, a hobby of visiting the patients, a hobby, for example, even of calling to the prayers. I know people who have retired and now they have given themselves a new job, and that is, you know what, I'm going to discipline myself to be there in the mosque to make the 5-day call prayers of the day. And in that, I'm helping the community because I'm inviting them to pray. And I'm getting more time now to myself in reading the Quran, reading the books, quiet time to meditate, to reflect, to enjoy life. I'm slowing down on aspects of a rat race, but I'm increasing my quality of life by having time to myself, time to Allah, and time to my family, and maybe even time to my garden, because gardening can be also an interesting aspect of life as a hobby. So there are many things people can do. It's never too late. That is the one thing we know. In life, it's never too late. It doesn't matter, irrespective of age, irrespective of knowledge that you have, of the skills that you have, or the social structure you're in, wherever you are, whoever you are, it's never too late.
Beautiful. I think that's a winning mindset for all of us. It's never too late. Let's give it a go.
Absolutely.
You mentioned the aspect of society's influence. So in our journey of becoming better, as you said, there's a danger that we define our success according to what society thinks. So how can we be sure that we're being authentic and not influenced by a social image?
Yeah. We say to the youth, specifically to the youth, watch out who you associate with. And this is an exercise anybody can do. Identify 6 people in your life other than your family and other those and colleagues at work who take most of your time, most of your private time, your free time, your social time. 6 names. Write the names of those 6 people. And once you've written those 6 names of the people, I can guarantee you are the average of those 6 people. So if you don't like who you are, change the company you subscribe to. Change the people you associate with. The company, I mean here, the company of people you associate with in your private time. Yeah. So successful people, what they do, they try to find people who are better than themselves, and they try to interact with those people. And by interacting with such people, they get influenced one way or the other. Unsuccessful people do the opposite. They go to people who are lower than them, and they mingle with those people, and they become less as a result. So the Prophet of Islam said, "Al-mar'u ala dini khalili. Al-mar'u ala dini khalili. Falyanzur ahadukum man yukhalil." A person has a lifestyle of his best friend. Therefore, choose carefully whom you choose to be your best friend. Al-Khalil. Yeah. And then another saying in Arabic, they said, "Akhbirni an khalilika, ukhbiruka man ant." Tell me who is your best friend, and I'll tell you who you are. Because we get influence, whether we like it or not. And the reason we choose that best friend is because our thoughts, our emotions, our attitude, our values are the same. So we feel comfortable to be with that person. However, if you want to change, we need to change a friend who is the biggest influence. Yeah? And that is what the reality of life is. So what we see from youngsters who are pretty ambitious, what they do, they attend, for example, seminars, lectures, or they read the books of successful people. Sometimes they even go to an extent of inviting successful people for lunch to pick their brains during lunch. It is the easiest and the cheapest way to get consultation from successful people, or from celebrities, or from people who have made it to the top. And they will always, these people, and that's one thing about successful people, they want to share their success with others. We see them, they write their biographies, they tell us all their secrets of how they made it to the riches, to the success. They don't mind seeing others becoming successful. Contrary to unsuccessful people, they don't want to see anybody becoming successful. They just want people to be like themselves. So life is, I want people to be like me. Rich people say, I want you to be like me, rich. Scholars say, I want you to be a scholar like me. I want you to be a star like me, whatever it is. Unsuccessful people say the same thing. I want you to be unsuccessful like me, because it makes me feel better. Yeah, I don't want to see others become successful because I'm not. Yeah. So choose your company very carefully. Choose your friends very carefully, because you get influence whether you like it or not.
And on that note, then, how can we best support each other rather than judging each other or putting each other down? How can we best support each other in our journeys?
In our journeys, that once we've identified a good company, then we need to realize that raising the bar is part of life. Having ambitious goals is always encouraged. Never accept the status quo. Status quo is enemy. Always find ways to improve, because improvement, small improvements every day lead to big success. And this is what the Japanese did to become who they were in the past century. They had a principle of the system called Kaizen. Kaizen is a system of continuous improvement. Every day we have to improve something, small as it is, minor as it is, in millimeters or in inches that we have to improve every day. Let's do it. Let us not go and make big improvements every now and then. Small improvements every day lead to success. And that is what we can do. So have a big goal in the different aspects of life, and make small improvements every day. Small improvements every day. You know, it's just like a big ship on the sea. You cannot make a radical change of the direction of a ship, but by minor changes, eventually the ship would change its course. And that is how we have to do. Slowly begin to redirect ourselves to the true north, to the right thing, to the success. Don't make radical changes, because the chances of you going back, recessing back, are higher. By making smaller changes every day, you will not feel the changes that are happening in your life. So begin to steal or reclaim back your time that is wasted. Start with 5 minutes. Reclaim back 5 minutes. And spend only 5 minutes on improving yourself. Either reading, praying, reciting, developing a particular skill, practicing a particular skill, walking for 5 minutes, searching for 5 minutes, do something useful for 5 minutes only. Keep on doing that for a while, and then eventually make it 10 minutes. Practice 10 minutes. Once you get in there, and then 20 minutes. Keep on growing until you get to 2 hours a day that you spend solely for you, to improve yourself, to become a better person. By reading, by practicing, and by putting it to good use.
And that's how you mentioned, Sh.Khalfan, makes it sustainable results.
Absolutely.
Now, before we wrap up, a question that comes to mind is, how can we seek Allah's support?
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. We say that in our prayer. When we say, you alone we worship, and from you we seek help, basically seeking Allah's help is a must at all times. Whether we like it or not, whether we understand it or not, whether we accept it or not, 99.9% of who we are is in control of Allah. The only part that we control is the free will, and that is in our cortex, the brain. That is the only part that we have freedom to do what we like with. The cortex, the conscious mind. That is the only thing we have at our exposure, at our disposal, to do what we like with. Everything else is in the hands of Allah. The way the heart beats, we have no control of that. The way we take oxygen and we breathe in or breathe out, we have no control of that. The number of cells that every day that die and regenerate, we have no control of that. The way our lungs, our liver, our kidneys, the way this body functions, we have no control of that. And as a result, we are at the mercy of Allah, and seeking His support in everything that we do, including this earth, including this universe. Every time we need to go and say, I need your help. Help me. Support me. Let me be successful.
Alhamdulillah. With that, we come to the end of our show today. So let's support each other, seek Allah's support, and what we can do and should do or not doing, let's take the time to do it. So from all of us here with the Honorable Sh.Khalfan Al Esry, Sound Engineer Safaya Al Habsi, and your host Rym Aoudia, will be connected again tomorrow 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., repeating 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Have a wonderful day ahead with peace and love. Ma'a salama.
This is Radio Sultan of Oman 90.4 FM.